You know that feeling, right? That flash of heat, the racing thoughts, when you feel like you're completely taken over by anger. Well, what if I told you there's a way to meet that intensity, not by fighting it, but with a really simple science-backed practice? Today, we're going to explore just that, how to change your relationship with anger and move from just reacting to actually responding. And wow, doesn't this just hit the nail on the head? When that wave of anger crashes over you, it's like a thick fog rolls in. Your heart starts pounding, your thoughts are a total blur, and any kind of rational thinking just goes out the window. It is an overwhelming, all-consuming experience.
You know, for so long, the advice has always been to just suppress your anger, right? To push it down, to wrestle with it. But as a lot of us have probably figured out, that internal battle, it usually just adds way more tension and ends up fueling the fire.
So let's just consider a totally different approach. What if there was a way to meet this really powerful emotion, not with more resistance, but with a specific kind of attention? One that can actually transform it from the inside out.
Okay, first, let's get into what's actually happening inside your brain when this all goes down. And this is important. It's not some personal failing. It is a biological response. Think of it like your brain's alarm system, the amygdala, is just screaming 5-alarm fire.
And yeah, hijacked is the perfect word for it, isn't it? The emotional, super reactive part of your brain completely takes the driver's seat, and the thoughtful, rational part gets shoved into the trunk. And that is exactly when we say and do things we really wish we could take back later.
But here's where it gets really fascinating. There's a surprisingly simple technique that can help you get back in control, even when you're feeling totally swamped by that feeling. And it all starts with just a single word.
So this is the big idea. It's called affect labeling. All it is the simple act of putting a name to the emotion you're feeling. Now, I know it might sound way too simple to actually work, but the neuroscience behind it is, well, it's pretty incredible.
So researchers at UCLA were looking at people's brains with MRI scans, and they found something amazing. When we get hit with an intense emotion, our amygdala, that's our threat detector, it lights up like a Christmas tree. But get this, when the people in the study simply put a name to the emotion, like saying anger or fear to themselves, the brain activity totally shifted. The amygdala activity went down, and the prefrontal cortex, that's the logical grown-up part of the brain, its activity went up. The lead researcher, Dr. Matthew Lieberman, he put it perfectly. He said it's like hitting the brakes on your emotional reactions. Just by naming the feeling, you're shifting from being purely reactive to being a more conscious observer of what's happening.
And this is the part I really want you to hear. Affect labeling isn't just a passive thing. It's an active process. You're taking all this raw, chaotic energy and you're channeling it to the part of your brain that can actually handle it with reason and perspective. You are literally transforming the experience.
All right, so now let's see how this simple act of naming becomes the foundation of a complete practice. It's actually the very first step in a powerful 4-part mindfulness tool called RAIN.
RAIN is an acronym for a practice that helps you move through difficult emotions with curiosity and a bit of kindness. It was first developed by meditation teacher Michelle McDonald, and then later adapted and really popularized by the psychologist Tara Brach. Think of it as an incredibly useful map for navigating those internal storms.
So the R is for recognize, and guess what? This is the affect labeling we were just talking about. You just pause and mentally, quietly name what's here. It doesn't have to be perfect. Anger, irritation, rage. Just acknowledging that it's present, that's the first crucial step.
Next up, A is for allow. And honestly, this can be the toughest part. It just means you stop resisting. You let the feeling be there, just for a moment. This is not about liking the anger or saying it's okay. It's simply about dropping that internal tug of war, which, by the way, frees up a ton of energy.
Then we have I for investigate. And this is a really critical shift. It's not about analyzing the story of why you're angry, which, let's be honest, usually just makes things worse. Instead, it's about investigating the direct physical experience of the emotion with a gentle curiosity. This really helps ground you in the here and now.
You can ask yourself really simple questions. Where is this anger actually living in my body right now? Is it that tightness in your chest? A feeling of heat in your face? Are your fists clenched? When you shift your attention to those raw physical sensations, it pulls you right out of those angry, looping thoughts. And here's another really powerful question you could ask. With that same gentle curiosity, what is this feeling trying to protect?
So often, anger pops up when a core need of ours, like the need to feel safe or respected or in control, feels threatened. When you see it as a protector instead of as an enemy, it can totally change your perspective.
And finally, N is for nurture. So after you've met this intense and often really vulnerable experience with recognition and allowance and investigation, you just offer yourself a moment of care. This could be as simple as placing a hand on your heart or quietly saying something supportive to yourself like, "This is really hard," or "It's okay to feel this." It's all about bringing a little kindness to the part of you that's hurting.
Okay, so that's the theory. But how in the world do you actually apply this when you're in the heat of the moment? You know, when you're about to fire off that email you know you're going to regret? Let's get practical.
First things first, if you're in a situation where you might act impulsively, create some distance. Seriously, put the phone down, step away from the conversation. Just give yourself 90 seconds. Then, when you start the RAIN process, really commit to keeping that investigate step focused on your body. The second you notice you're rehearsing arguments in your head, just gently guide your attention right back to the heat, the tightness, whatever physical sensations are there.
It's also really good to know that RAIN isn't the only tool you have. Sometimes you need something much quicker, and for those moments, there's the STOP technique. It stands for stop what you're doing, take a breath, observe what's happening inside, and then proceed with a little more awareness. You can see here that STOP is kind of like a circuit breaker for an immediate reset, while RAIN is for when you have a bit more time to really process the emotion more deeply.
When it comes right down to it, this whole practice is about creating a pause. That's it. It's about creating just enough space between a trigger, like a critical comment or a frustrating situation, and your behavior, so you can move from a knee-jerk reaction to a conscious, intentional response.
And this slide really lays out the choice that we're creating for ourselves. A reaction is automatic, right? It's fueled by the stories we tell ourselves, and it usually just makes things worse. A response, on the other hand, is conscious. It's informed by what we're feeling in our body. It creates that crucial choice point between feeling the anger and blindly acting on it. So I'll just leave you with this thought. Anger is a natural human emotion. It's a signal. It's a source of energy. What could possibly change in your relationships, at your job, in your life, if the next time you feel that familiar heat start to rise, you met it not with a fight, but with just a simple, quiet curiosity?